Right, hello everybody. And for today's presentation, I am going to talk about The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. And I wanted to display um, how the violence of all practices in today's society. Okay, so before that, I wanted to talk about talk about the author, Shirley Jackson. So her full name is Shirley Hardy Jackson, and she's born in 1916 in USA, and she has died in 1965. In, and she is the American novelist writer, and she is the best known for her The Lottery short story, which is the story I'm going to present to you now. Okay, so my thesis is The Lottery by Shirley Jackson symbolizes the danger of an old practices through the traditional lottery game, the Hutchinson family, and the villagers. The lottery game has played for a long time in village, assuming it is the fun and brings the villagers together, which Jackson shows that the old practice can affect the society. And in the story, uh, this lottery plays for like decades. And there's a little boy called Bobby Martin, and he gathered like stones on the way to play um, the lottery game. And the other children followed him and started to pile up the stones and gather the stones, which telling that this violence, this stones is actually going to kill somebody in the end of the story, which they don't, the violence is involving children. And there is another example, similar example like this, written by Stella Fredek, and about forced marriage in Africa. So there is a old tradition called Ukutwala in Africa, and it's young girls and women are kidnapped by men and forced into marriage, often involving sexual violence or rape. And this tradition is actually like hurting thousands of girls in Africa. And this untreated old practice actually provoked the men to be violent physically and psychologically. And African society is suffering from this tradition. And this example and the lottery, the lottery game is telling that the old society and old practices can affect the whole society. And second, Mrs. Hutchinson Tessie, she is actually stoned by villagers and has died because she got the black spot slip paper of lottery, which the author highlights the superstition of old practices and its danger. And in the story, Tessie actually got the like a slip paper which has a like black spot on it. And according to the game rule, the person who got this paper had to be died. And it's such a superstition. And people actually killed her because it's a rule. And there's another example that written in BBC News about bull wrestling in Madagascar. So as this Savika bull wrestling happens in Madagascar, and the purpose is to get married the local woman. And there is about like 50 men can be killed in single wrestling, bull wrestling. And another tradition is the bull wrestling is the only one chance to show the inner spirit of men. And people actually derive pleasure from it and really enjoy it. And this superstition makes people like to be dumb and deaf, like physically and mentally. And this like tradition and the tradition in the lottery game is showing like superstition can, you know, be so dangerous and it can make people blind. And third, lastly, the whole village just play the lottery blindly. Like, they never know the reason why they have to play this lottery like for ages. And which Jackson refers that everyone should examine his or herself consciously instead of just following somebody. And in the story, the lottery, there's a man called Warner. He actually has his own right, and he knows people are getting more wild each year when they play this game. And but he cannot claim his right because there's everybody is following this tradition. And there's another example written by Derek B. Taylor in New York Times about George Floyd. And you know this, yeah? So this is African American man killed by a white officer after being pinned down to the ground. And the first people, thousands of people gathered and protest against the Black lives. But eventually it turns wild, and this is no longer protest for equal rights. People began to robbing and stealing and attacking the society and destroying the things around them. And this is such a like a like psychological violence. People have no own judgment. There's a lot of imitators, and this story, this event and this story is telling that if people have to have their own right, they have to examine themselves, otherwise the violence never gonna end. And in conclusion, this danger of unfit tradition like forced marriage and superstition like bull wrestlings and personal rights happens in protest, all talking about violence, and untreated all practices are very dangerous to society if and therefore everyone should examine themselves and have to have personal right what to follow or what not. So I hope you enjoyed my presentation and thank you so much for watching.